All right, welcome everyone. Okay, we're streaming, we're live streaming. All right, sorry, that was, I think, an awkward beginning as usual. Today we're going to talk about mantras, mindset, and manifestation. Sorry, I was getting another voice of myself. I don't know if you could hear that from the internet window that was open. Okay, now no more of that. Um, Mantras, mindset, and manifestation. First, though, I'm going to go through just a couple quick announcements and odds and ends. Number one, I got my Zoom and Facebook live stream situation figured out. It might not mean a lot to you, but it meant a lot to me. There was one more setting I had not changed, so I'm going to change that. So here we are. You can see my full screen, my full background. This is actually a painting that some kids that I've worked with here in my studio did. I do have permission for their artwork to be on camera, so not violating any confidentiality agreement there, but just thought that'd be a nice background. Another announcement that won't mean a whole lot to you, but I'll kind of touch on it later. It relates to my topic for today, is something I mentioned before, that I'm going to be moving to a new studio space here soon. It was supposed to be in about a week. It might be delayed because of a minor renovation going on in the space. They're building me a wall so I can have some storage area in the back, and there's some coding issues with the wall, but we'll get it figured out. So I'm super excited for that change. You guys will just see a different background from me, and I'll be sharing more about that journey of new ideas of what I'm going to be using that space for with you all, because I think it relates to this journey that we're all on of connecting more and more with ourselves and our identity. And again, I'll share more about that in a minute, but yeah, I think that relates to this journey that we're all on together. So I'm going to be sharing more about that in the coming weeks, hopefully not too much longer than a month before I move into that space. Another announcement. I had made a post the other day. I'm trying to do better about at least weekly putting up a question in the group. I know there's only a few of you in here right now, so there's not a lot of activity going on, so you may not even be getting those notifications. But I'm trying to put a question usually on Mondays of just something to kind of motivate you to think about during the week. And this week it was, what are some kind of practical to-dos you can check off your list this week? Because I know sometimes we're overwhelmed with a lot going on, and just checking off simple to-dos. Like I said, that I got my taxes done, or actually it was a drop-off service, so I dropped it off. They're not done yet, but I've done my part for now. So I checked that off my list. I've been putting it off. And here, I know not all of you are in the US, but our tax date was extended from mid-April to mid-May. So I put it off even till the extended date and the extended deadline, and finally got it done. So I think that, yeah, doing those kind of practical things can be helpful. So that's kind of what I've been posting about on Mondays. I may put in other types of questions, but I think it's helpful to have that motivation, and a reminder of, just getting practical things done, like check-ins of where's your mindset this week? What are you doing? That can help us to feel like we've got some momentum and we're moving forward, and to have some accountability in those areas. All right. So I'm going to keep doing that. But I am curious, kind of, what are some practical things for those of you who didn't answer on that post that you're checking off your list this week? And that could be big things. It could be medium things like getting your taxes done. It could be things that might seem little but are big for you right now. Like if you're in a hard spot, maybe taking a shower and getting the mail out of the mailbox is huge today. And I want to make sure we acknowledge all of those steps of practical things we're doing to just move forward with our life, because we don't have a lot of other people congratulating us for those things, right? We have to do it for ourselves, and hopefully in this community, this supportive environment, we can do that for each other. So I want you all to be sharing those things, little wins that you have throughout the week, even if it seems small. Please share with us. We're here to support you. Okay. And let's see. Oh, my other little announcement, you all will have some new group members soon. I know the three of you have been with me. It's been so great. I know, Anya from the beginning, she's like, ride or die, I'm with you, Jennifer. And I appreciate that all of you are hanging tight with me, because I know this community is part of what was promised to you as a part of the redefined process. And with only a few of you in here, that's hard, because it puts a lot of pressure on each individual person, right? Like, if I'm asking you to participate, like answer a question, and there's like 300 people in the group, like in the Women Overcoming Narcissistic Abuse group, there could be 10 people that are actively contributing and the rest aren't. And that's okay. It seems like an active group. And for just 3 of you here, I get it. If you've got stuff going on in life, you're not going to be logged into the group and participating all the time. And yeah, I don't want it to be like there's a lot of pressure on you to make this an active group. That's too much to ask with just a few of you here. So I want you to know that there will be more community. I'm in conversation with several women now, within the next month or so. I expect to have a few more in here. All right. There's just, everybody's busy and has to figure out the right time frame to start. But I have some women that are ready to start soon, just not like today. Okay. So it's happening. I'm engaging with more and more people who are excited to be here. And I love that, like for those of you already in the group right now, and for those who are coming, the ones that I've talked to, I love that, like, a big piece of what you're looking for is that creative outlet or reconnecting with your creative self. And I guess I should have expected that, right? That's what I'm doing, is this creative program. But a lot of women in the other Facebook group are not necessarily, they don't consider themselves creative or artists, but they're drawn in for other reasons. And I just, I love connecting with more women who are really looking for that artist identity within themselves as a part of their recovery from narcissistic abuse. So those are the type of women that are going to be in here with you. So I'm excited about that. Coming soon in the coming weeks. All right. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about mantras, mindset, and manifestation. So mantras, of course, I have a mantra as sort of a loose theme for each one of our sessions. And it's intentional that I haven't, it's like your art task isn't directly illustrating that mantra per se. I want you to sort of piece it together yourself and apply your own meaning to that mantra. I do think it makes sense, the progression that they're in, but it's sort of a loose theme for each one. And I want to read those through right now. And we're going to talk about the importance of having a daily mantra. Okay. I shared this in a video in the other group yesterday, that I have written out a new mantra for myself. It's actually kind of three together. There's 3 phases of it. That is my daily mantra right now for this phase of life that I'm in. And I'm saying it to myself in the mirror every morning, or if I forget, I'm saying it in the car, or, I say it out loud to myself every day. And it's already been super helpful just this past week or 2 that I've been doing it. And yeah, I'll get into more of that in a moment. But first, I want to just read through as a reminder of our 8 mantras that we go through in the Redefine process. Number 1, I'm going to read these. I don't have all of them memorized, or I don't want to get them wrong. So number 1, I am open to the process. Number 2, I am creating space for change. Number 3, I am safe and I am protected. Number 4, I trust the process and I trust my creator's voice. Number 5, I trust myself and I trust my inner voice. Number 6, I am strong. Number 7, I am confident in my abilities. Number 8, I am, and you fill in the blank. Okay. There's a progression here, of course, in just starting out, just being open, then moving into, from that openness, creating more space in our life for change. So it's like another level of the openness, then to establishing safety within ourselves, which is so important for any abuse victim, any trauma victim, to establish that sense of safety. Then moving into trusting the process, not just being open to it, trusting the process, trusting our creator's voice, however we interpret that, trusting ourselves, which we know is a much harder step to actually trust ourselves, and trusting our own voice, our inner voice, then believing that we are strong and we are confident in our abilities, and then, naming for ourselves what we are at the end. So there's a progression here. And I want to just give a reminder here that with mantras, with daily affirmations, that's another word you can use. The purpose is not to say something that we already believe. The purpose is to say something that we want to believe that we don't quite believe yet, right? So some of you may be on session 4, 5, 6, 7 and still not truly feel open to the process. So that's something you can continue to repeat to yourself if that mantra resonates with you, that you, or if you just need, the thing is like sometimes we get to a point where, okay, I'm fully open to the process, I don't need to go back to that. But oftentimes we need to revisit a mantra on a regular basis in order to like hold that belief, hold that truth. Okay. Um, so I'll tell you, my personal mantra, the first line of it is something that occurred to me the other day when I was actually conversing with someone on Instagram, another online coach, a trauma coach, and I was explaining a situation to him that related to his post in my comment. And the last sentence that I said was, I deserve to take up space. And so I've put that in a couple of my social media posts lately. I deserve to take up space, or you deserve to take up space. And so that's the first sentence in my mantra. And that just was kind of coming up a lot. And so I've made that my mantra. So I say, I deserve to take up space. It's like I deserve to have a voice. I shared last week about feeling kind of inhibited in my body physically, and movement is helpful for me in so many ways, like physically, but psychologically. To be able to move and physically take up space, that means so much for me mentally and psychologically as well. And so yeah, so I deserve to take up space. Now, that's something that I believe more now than when I was a child. I believe it more now than when I was in the abusive relationship. I believe it more today than I did last week when when that phrase first came to me, right? That doesn't mean I'm done saying it, because I think that is something that I continue to struggle with, and maybe always will. And so I need that reminder daily. So while you might reach a point where, there is this progression of these mantras in the redefined process, you might reach a point where you feel like, I've got that, but you may need to go back and just have a reminder of that. So I think it wouldn't hurt to go through these mantras, or, whatever session, whatever art tasks you're on, to go through periodically and repeat up until this point those mantras to yourself. And this can look a lot of different ways. It could just be kind of as you think of it, oh, I want to go back and read those. It could be when you log in to do your session material, whether that's once a week, once a month, however that looks for you right now. You could go back and read all of the mantras up until that point. There was something else I was thinking of a minute ago about how to do this. I lost it. It went out of my brain. Okay, it'll come back to, oh, I see it over here. Okay. So, or another way to do this is to, and you could do all of the above, but another way is to, whatever session you're on, or whatever the last one that you did, like even if it's going to be a few weeks before you are going to be able to take the time to really sit down and focus on the next art task, whatever last mantra you did, I want you to kind of live in that for a while. So for example, if I've just completed session 1, I am open to the process, then that's kind of the mantra and the theme that I'm going to live in for the next days, weeks, however long before I do the next session. Okay. Does that make sense? Like, so just live in that. So that could mean, okay, I'm living in session 1 right now, and all of those truths, and just I'm open to the process. I'm learning to express my emotions visually, and learning to identify the feelings in my body. So I am open to the process is my theme right now. So that could mean saying it to yourself in the mirror every morning, like I'm doing with my mantras. I deserve to take up space, and the other things that I've added to that. It could be writing it on a Post-it note and putting it somewhere that you're going to see it every day. Now, if you live with other family members or roommates, then, this could be a little more challenging. You need to put it somewhere, or you probably want to put it somewhere private. I don't know. But if you live by yourself, or just with, those who you'd be open to sharing this with, you could put it on the bathroom mirror. That's an easy example that people give of where to put kind of your motivational Post-it note, or on the refrigerator or something like that. And I want to point out here that I recognize that we can hear these types of messages like, oh yeah, that makes sense to like put it, we've heard that a lot of times, like put it on the mirror, say it to yourself every day. It's easy to hear that. And I used to be that person who would just hear these kind of suggestions and not really follow through and do it, because it's like, oh, I don't really need to do that. Like I'll remember to say it, or I know that, or, or I just put it off for a while. But I want you to take the action to do that. So whatever mantra you need to kind of live in right now, whether it's one that you've written for yourself, or one of these, like I said, whatever session you're on, I want you to write that down and put it somewhere where you're going to see it. It could be a note in your phone, and you have a reminder that dings on your phone at noon at your lunch break to go read that on your phone. There's a lot of ways to do this. I've written my mantras on my phone. I've written it in my sketchbook, and I've done a pretty good job right now of just remembering it when I get up in the morning, when I look in the mirror. But you might need more of a reminder to make sure you're actually implementing this, that you're saying it to yourself. And as a part of this sort of idea of living in the mantra, I want to refer back to an example that I had given once before with Pat Allen, who developed the process of the witness writing, which I've based our reflective writing process off of in this program. And when I told you all about, she had noticed this color red coming up in her work a lot, and I was encouraging you all to sort of live in that, like whatever color, whatever concept, whatever's coming up for you to really absorb that. And I shared how the color red actually coincidentally lately has been coming up for me quite a bit. And so I'm noticing that when I am drawn to a red crayon, or when I see red out somewhere, like I shared with you all some photos of a red Pegasus sculpture, like this winged horse sculpture that is in the courtyard of the art center where my studio space is, right out here. And I noticed, let's have red colors. So now even just seeing that Pegasus daily when I'm here reminds me, oh yeah, that color that seems like this fire in me, this whatever, that I need to explore the meaning of that. And I have this visual prompt to remind me to think about that on a daily basis. And so and what Pat Allen did was, when this red kept coming up, she painted the walls of a new studio space, a spare bedroom in her house. She painted the walls red. She found a red chair at a thrift store and put it in that space. Like, that's an extreme example of how she really lived in this color. Okay. So I think that's a good visual example to keep in mind too with these mantras. Like, you're going to live in this mantra. Like right now, it's like a motto, my life motto, my mantra is, I deserve to take up space. And and as I said, there's some other more personal things elaborated onto that I add, but that is like my theme, my motto, my logo, you know what I mean? It's like, this is who I am right now, and this is what I'm living in, this space of, I deserve to take up space. That's my mindset right now. So either think of whatever mantra you need right now and write your own, or just go with whatever one you're on right now, or whatever one resonates with you from these mantras in the redefined process that I've listed for you with the 8 sessions. Okay. And so how this relates to the idea of manifestation. Now, you might have heard this word a lot. I see it, I follow a lot of social media accounts that are online coaches and healers and therapists who talk a lot about this type of thing. And it can have this very sort of, the idea of manifestation can have this very like sort of spiritual connotation often, and definitely as a spiritual person myself, I believe that when you sort of put things out in the universe or pray for them, like they come to fruition. But I think that mindset aside, literally just looking at it as a mindset thing, that we know it's a part of like cognitive behavioral therapy. Like, the field of psychology knows that your mindset and the messages you tell yourself, your self-talk, directly affects your emotions and your behaviors, right? So taking out, if that spiritual part of it kind of turns you off, I know sometimes I can think that's a little woo-woo, like, oh, I'm gonna manifest myself a sports car, or like a new man who's perfect for me, and there's gonna poof show up. Like, that when I feel like people are talking about it in those terms, like, it doesn't seem realistic, doesn't make sense to me, then it can be kind of off-putting to me. But really the point I want to make to you is it's really a matter of this mindset piece, and where our thoughts are, that's where our emotions are. And then that motivates us or prompts us to take action in that direction. So that's where the manifestation piece comes in, where if I'm believing that I deserve to take up space, that other people in the world want to hear my powerful voice, that I deserve to be heard, that others, those of you online are showing up here for me because you see some value in what I'm teaching, as opposed to shrinking back from that sort of calling and that voice that I have to share. If I believe that, I'm going to take action in line with that. I'm going to do things to get out there and help more women. I'm going to if I believe I deserve to take up space, I'm going to put myself out there more as far as, dating. If there's a new, I'm thinking of examples of things you all might want to do, a new career path, or saving up money to buy a new home, or just, friendships, family relationships you want to cultivate more. If your mantras are affirming to you and kind of the person you want to be, again, it's not something you are right now or necessarily believe fully right now, but it's where you want to be and what you want to believe. The more you're telling yourself that, the more you are becoming that person, the more you're going to put yourself out there. If I believe that I have worth and value, and that I'm beautiful and I deserve to take up space and I deserve the attention of a man. I'm using that as an example because that's the place I am in life right now. I'm single. If I believe those things about myself, then I'm going to be more confident when I interact with a man, at the grocery store or at church, or like among mutual friends, or, on a dating site, if that's what you're doing. Like, you're going to show up in a different way because of that mindset piece. And I believe that ultimately we can manifest the things that we want and desire in our life, as long as those are good and healthy desires. Well, honestly, I'll take that back, because even with unhealthy desires, I think this happens. So, like, if someone who has evil intentions is like focusing on evil thoughts, they're going to manifest like those things in their life. Somebody who's really money hungry and like not a good business person in the ethical sense, like they're going to manifest like things related to that. Does that make sense? Like, so, or it could be self-limiting beliefs. So if I am believing that I am not worthy of a man's attention, or if I'm believing that all men are narcissists and, I don't want to have anything to do with men, then I'm going to manifest like the results of that thought process, the results of that mindset in my life. So then I'm not going to meet new people, or all the men I'm going to meet are going to be arrogant or narcissistic, or, whatever, all these negative traits that I'm not looking for, because I'm believing that that's all the men that are out there. So then that's all I'm going to be noticing. And I'm not going to be, I'm going to stay in this place where I talk a lot about myself as being like I was the perfect kind of dysfunctional puzzle piece for my ex-husband, because I was in an unhealthy codependent place where I thought that I needed this man who had this sort of macho, arrogant air to him to feel like I was taken care of. And so we fit together in this dysfunctional way. So if I continue to be that person that is codependent and so needy of a man's attention to fulfill me, and I'm like shrinking back from using my full voice, then I'm going to continue to be drawn to men like that. And that's not victim blaming, as far as, saying it's my fault or our fault for ending up in abusive relationships. But I think we have to acknowledge that piece of it too, that I think the healthier we become, the more we attract healthy people. So that's all the same mindset. So if we're thinking negatively and with limiting beliefs, we're going to manifest the results of that. We're going to stay limited. And if we're thinking these positive mantras full of who we want to be, and kind of this, we can have mantras that are really like huge, like where we want to be like eventually, or we can, I think there's no harm in doing that. But I know for me, it's helpful to just have mantras that are kind of just this next step of where I want to be and what I want to believe, because I can envision that more. And it feels attainable. So we can reach those places if we're in that mindset, if we're really living in it. So your homework, to add to all your other work that you might feel overwhelmed with from the program, is to really, not an extra amount of work, but just to really dive deeper into this concept of the mantras. So whatever mantra you're on, whatever session you're on, own that mantra. The only work is maybe writing it down in your phone or on a Post-it note, put it somewhere you're going to see it, maybe in your car, the dashboard. There's too much dust on my dashboard for a Post-it to stick to it. Maybe your car's clean. You could have a little note in there that wouldn't get lost in the trash and the dust. Gosh. Yeah, do something to make that mantra visible to you so you can focus more on it. And I think that is all. I'm looking at my notes again here. Yeah, our mindset means everything. That helps us manifest this future that we want. And thank you all. Feel free to post any questions or comments here on the live in the group. And I will see you next week.